Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today is the first day of my winter Stitch the Seasons. Now the whole project was about picking a piece of fabric that best felt like the season and stitching into it. There were a few little extras that could be done if you were participating, which was adding lace, adding a element as in a critter, butterfly, bird, bee, whatever that may be. I seem to have gone down the bird tunnel, rabbit hole. So I do have a little bird in mind for this one. So yeah, let's get started. It's the first of winter for me. June technically first, and it's a few days later, but that's all good. Friday is my Stitch the Seasons piece. So here we are with it so far. We've done spring. We have done summer, and they're all connected so that I can add them in, and I've completed winter, autumn. So now it's winter, and that piece can either be attached here to the bottom. And you see my first challenge is it's a bit small for the rest of the project, or it could be at the top of spring. So you have winter and then spring comes along. So not sure yet, but that's a decision for another day. We've got 3 months to work on it, which is great because that allows me to really dive into the piece and stitch quite intensely, which is great. It's not such a rushed project, and I can just pick it up each week and do some stitching. So what I want to do is just cut myself off a piece of background fabric. This is just a wool batting from the quilting world that I'm going to use, and I'm just going to do a bit of a rough cut because remembering when we stitch into these things, the fabric tends to shrink a little, so I always try and make it just a little bit bigger. Give me a bit of a guide. I can't use the little panel that I have. I've got 2 little pieces. There is a bigger piece somewhere which I could technically grab and cut the right size out, but it's a big piece, and I just feel that I should save it for a rainy day. I'm just not quite ready to cut a medium-sized chunk out of it when it's so big. Now this fabric I got from Susanna. She had it as part of a pack some time ago, so I don't think she has any left. And for those of you who managed to snag a piece, lucky you. So it's still probably a little bit big, but we'll shrink in. I'm going to just take that off, I think, just a bit. You can roughly see the fold line. Look, you could measure it. I've gone from those days of measuring. This is what I love about slow stitch and thread painting and constructing something from nothing, is you can be a little bit more flexible with your measurements, which I just love. It's quite refreshing actually. When you've grown up stitching and embroidering and things in such a precise manner, I'm just loving the fact that we can just play a little bit, and newbies coming in don't feel so daunted. You know, when you see some new style of stitching, especially in the fancy work embroidery world, and you just don't pick up a thread and needle and have a go because you're daunted by what you're seeing. It's so precise. So I'm loving the fact that I can just meander and break all the rules. Well, not really. Don't really break rules. We sort of interpret the piece and then stitch away. That's a bit crooked, but I'm not going to worry too much because it gets so squishy. So we've got two pieces. We've got this one, two little morsels, and we've got this one. I think it has to be this one. This would be too much to pad it out. That to me is something another day. It's just so beautiful. It's a very old linen upholstery fabric, maybe even a curtain fabric. This one has to be this one. So how are we going to stretch it? There was one thought in my boho trims. I found this when I was hunting for a connecting element. See, there's another one there. For this piece, that became my, because this was needing to connect somehow, that matched beautifully. And in the process of digging through, I found that. So this really became something I wanted to add. So I think when I did muck around with it a little bit, so it can go shorter, but we don't want to go any narrower. Is that even a word? Sometimes they can be opened up. And they could be put in under like that. Yeah, see, this is the way we're going. This will become my panel on the side to build up my width. So do we want it this side? Or does it feel better this side? Oh, such big decisions. I don't know how much I'll get done today, because there's a lot of thinking to be done. So if that was unpicked, that's a nylon thread through there that tacks that back. So I would say, unless I want a ridge, now we've got like a little edge, and I just slip stitch that down, and then that could be rolled over my raw edge like so to give it a nice, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I will unpick this side and tuck it over my raw edge. So that'll finish that off. And this will just nestle under, just nestle under. So I guess what I need to do is just make sure that it's across enough. Yeah, see, that's pretty good. It's about 1/4 inch there. I'm okay with that. All right, so I'm going to put this away because there's no use stitching for 3 months into this piece and roughing this up with my hands to make it all, that's never going to go on there, to make it all, you know, nice and stitched and have it all fraying and falling to bits. So the first thing, if you're wondering what I'm going to do first, invisible stitch this down. Now the other decision I've got to make is how I work my bird in. And this is my bird. And I'm thinking he will either be sitting up here like a proud little fellow, so fussy cut out and placed up there so we can see him, which is what I'm tending towards at the moment, or he gets buried in somewhere, which we won't see him. So I think he'll come up in here, and we might have to work in some foliage that connects him in, because I won't be using this holly. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. So first things first, let's get this piece attached to the fabric. As for the top here, we're a little bit shy. I'm not going to worry about it at this stage, because what we might do is end up finishing my piece there and maybe doing something at the top or not. Like, I'm really not too concerned, to be honest, at this stage. There's plenty to do here. Finding threads is going to be a challenge. I had a quick glance at my container of gumnut yarns, these ones here. That's where I bought them from, oh gosh, probably 18 months ago. She's got threads available in Brisbane from home. So you order online from Hand Embroidery Supplies, and that was the best way I could get a range of gumnut yarns. Some of them have been wound out and are mixed in amongst my greens. But as I walked to the desk, I saw that container. A couple of them in there caught my eye as potentials for this project. This is a real minty green, like so I might actually find it hard to find threads. The other thing is, instead of just stitching it all, I'd love to find some fabrics that I can collage into it this time. So I'm also on the hunt for some of those types of fabrics, some laces and things. So this video might be a little bit of a stop and start one where I get this done. Then I might pause the video, have a rummage in my drawers and see if I can match up some tones of fabrics and sort of just put together a bit of a, I guess, colour palette. So this is the classic invisible stitch, which is its trendy new name, or my grandmother would say, tack it down. The only difference between this now stitch and grandma's stitch is she would have had the big stitch showing on the surface, like a true tacking stitch, where now we're doing an itty bitty stitch on the top and a big jump behind, which then allows us just to leave it in. We don't have to unpick it, because in grandma's day we would have removed it. Tacking stitch was used a lot in dressmaking. If you wanted to test a sleeve fit an armhole and you were drafting a pattern from nothing, she would tack them in. She'd often do a fitting with just tacking stitch, and then she knew if she needed to add a dart or adjust a dart. And now it's called invisible stitch because we don't take it out. So it really is just a quick way of eliminating pins. So my batting that I've got behind, if you're a newbie, you can use all sorts of things. You can use some fabric that you may have thrifted. You can use an old piece of blanket. You can use something from a quilt store in the way of a cotton batting that they put between their quilts. There's heaps of things you can use. Just use what you can get your hands on. I've got a little bit of this left in scraps from when I was doing quilts. And because they're only chunky bits, all sizes, I'm finding that, you know, I sort of grab them occasionally and can use them, which is great, using scraps. There's my little sneaky knot. My not going to lose my needle sneaky knot. I'm sick of rethreading needles. I'm just over it. And then in Fleur Wood's course, when she mentioned that one of her girls in a previous class had said, why don't you put a knot to hold your thread? Because we were doing beading. And you can imagine what it's like rethreading a beading needle. This one's not much better, but... And we just went, oh my goodness. So now I think I've coined the name Sneaky Knot. You need a sneaky knot to keep your sanity. So what was I saying? Yeah, choices of background batting. You could just use calico or muslin. I've done that heaps of times because that's what I had a lot of. I know Spotlight has a really good cotton batting in, and it's really wide, so you can buy, say, 1/2 metre for not much, and you get the width and a lot for your money. That's pretty good. You can use felt, but try and pick a felt that is maybe by the yard or metre on a roll, because you'll find that it's more of a blanket type felt, not the craft felt that you buy in a little square. I find that that has a lot of glue built into it, so when you're sliding your needle through and stitching, you're getting a bit of pushback, a bit of friction, and you don't want that. If you're spending hours and hours stitching into a piece and you're feeling that pressure coming back at your joints, yeah, you'll get sick of it real quick. So I've just whipped around the outer edge there, so now I'm just going to do some stitching through the centre here. Probably should have started in the centre and worked out, which would have been logical, but you know, breaking the rules. There's my sneaky knot. You're not going anywhere, you little so-and-so. I can't believe we're on the winter piece. That's 3/4 of the project done. Wow. I really wanted to start with this piece first, but when it came into my head, the whole idea, we were entering into spring. So I couldn't, I had to wait. I love the comments where you guys go, winter, we're just in the middle of spring, coming into spring, for those of you that live on the other side of this rock. Incredible, isn't it, that we have all these time zones and completely different climates. Like, sometimes I think the world is small, but really it's not. It's big. It's a very big rock. Oh, I can't wait to stitch this. I've got a million ideas, but slow down, enjoy the process. Even if it's just stitching the backing to your panel, it's part of the process. It's part of the journey. Alrighty. The main thing is that you've got enough stitches that it doesn't jump around. Okay, so if you've just found me for the first time, there is a playlist of the other pieces, heaps of videos. That'll keep you amused for a while. You might be really sick of me by the time you listen to me waffle on. So if you are new, grab yourself a piece of fabric. It doesn't even have to be the season, just a beautiful piece of fabric. It can be a lightweight, more modern quilt fabric that you would buy in your local quilt shop. Autumn was that. This is a heavier, more of an upholstery, curtaining fabric. Doesn't matter. You don't need to scour the world looking for that beautiful piece of antique fabric. Like, good luck. That's a journey in itself. If you want to use more modern fabrics, you can. Let me just grab my piece again. Just going to refresh my memory. Those magnolias was a modern fabric I bought in France, but it was heavy like this guy. This one here is gosh, it's all upside down. This one here was a modern fabric that's available in quilt stores. It's like a watercolour print, but it was on a linen, which is a bit of a thing happening now, which is great. And this fabric was just quilting fabric, just normal dressmaking fabric. So you can see that you can use pretty much anything. So don't think you can't stitch into pretty much anything, especially if you happen to get yourself into a fabric store and you come across a fabric that just speaks to you. Just grab the minimum cut. Just ask them at the counter, what's your minimum? It can be anything from 20 centimetres to 30 centimetres. Have a look at the design. If it's 20 centimetres, you might find you want to go that little bit extra because you lose too much of your image. So just keep that in mind, that you know, you want something you can stitch. That is not going to go anywhere now. But I'm not too concerned. If it gets a bit bubbly, I'm not too concerned because I'm stitching into the backgrounds as well. I've done everything from seed stitch to a quilt stitch to camphor stitch. There's always a way. And like I said at the beginning of this video, no decisions has been made on how this piece will evolve. I do that with you on camera each Friday. I bring in the piece and go, right, what are we going to do today? How are we going to do it? The only thing I have in my mind for this one is there'll be texture brought in from snippets of bits and bobs. What that is, I don't know yet. I've got to go hunting for some lacy elements, some fabric elements that suit. I do want to stay within that colour palette, but there's nothing stopping you. If your piece of fabric is just not the colours that you want, you can use this as your design and then build up from there and change it. But I did try and pick tones that suited the season in my case. Now, the other thing I add is a poem or a couple verses that evoke the memories of the season for me. Let me just grab my phone. I think I wrote something for this one. Autumn I didn't. I was struggling with that one a bit. But I have a feeling I did write something because it was sort of the one that kicked it all off. Seasons. Is that what I called the file? Maybe right. I can't find it. No. Oh, it'll be in there somewhere. I've just got to sit down and have one more swipe through. No. Ideas for YouTube. Nope. Oh my goodness me. Doesn't matter. I'll find it. It'll be somewhere. So I need to leave space for that. Where's my little bird? What happened to him? I guess the question is he the right bird? Where's the bird? The bird's gone. Here he is. He was caught up with his mates. And the other thing I want to see, have I used him? So all the birds have come from the same fabric. Is that him? It is. I knew he was familiar. Oh. Well. Oh, it's because I put two birds on this piece. Oh, good one. I've used him here and a second one. Right. I might need to go further afoot to find a bird, so I'm going to just leave him for a moment. I could bring in other critters, like I put in a butterfly on this one, and this piece had little birds already on it, and then I brought him in, the blue jay, and this guy is a relative to this fellow from that Christmas fabric. All right. I think this new piece is going to be similar to this, you know, where I layered in elements. This one was very ribbon embroidery and seed stitch, so they're all different. That's, yeah, okay. Who knows how it'll go. Don't want to commit to anything yet. All right, what are we going to do first? Let's have a look at these threads. this minty green. So these are gum nut yarns, hand-dyed Australian yarns. So it's a real olive. These look good in the flowers, to be honest. Isn't it interesting, the green? Let's have a look in here. Got some stranded cottons there. They're not bad. See, that's closer to the colour, isn't it? 730. Well, I think they're a definite. And here we have olive, which is a Wonderfill. Pretty sure that's a Wonderfill. Yeah, pearl cotton Wonderfill. See, that's like a minty green. I might just liven up that. Okay, well, maybe I'll leave all those together for this project. A bit reluctant to do that because I use these colours all the time, everywhere. It's a bit fresh. That. Okay. I don't know. Isn't it fun when you're first pulling together your pieces? Now the other thing I wanted to do is have a look at some crocheting elements to come into the flowers too. But they're so big, I just don't know. See, these were left from my rabbit. They're still sitting on my desk. I wonder if I could work these in to some of these flowers. I'm liking that idea. See these ones with the white in them? So let me just show you, if you're wondering where the hell I got those. Hang on one moment. So what I got is out of my container of crochet bits. This was Wednesday's video. I fussy cut out these floral elements, leaving those bits on my desk. So that's out of a crochet doily blanket tablecloth. And now I've got these random bits sitting here. Let's have a play with them. I think I might start my project with stitching in these little guys. So making little flowers out of these itty bitty bits. So we want random 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the thing is, they are going to get caught on my work as I stitch for the month, and that will drive me bonkers. So I wonder if I stitch these together and make these little elements, and then I can add them when I'm ready, because I should probably focus on background stitches. Let's work up to the pretty bits, but no, Corinne's going straight for the pretty bits. That's typical. But before those little bits disappear off my desk, I'm going to have a go at stitching this together. I might need a tiny little bit of fabric underneath it because it might just all pull apart. Calico. You go to calico. Hang on. Let's have a little look. So we just want a little morsel of something. So this will help stabilise. Just thinking, do we draw a circle? You don't have to, but let's be a little bit precise here. Draw a bit of a circle. It's a little bit big, so let's just trim it down. This is going to help those delicate little ends, I think, stay together. Because too, I don't want it on the piece yet. This will just be added at a later date. So if all those get stitched, I knew these little bits would come in handy. See, there's a half version which would be good for tucking up into there. Oh, now we're cooking. A smaller version. Oh, yep. All right, let's stitch. So I got my needle and thread. I'm just going to, see, this is why I can't plan anything, guys. I just have to sit down, start the process and see what comes. If I had to think all this out prior, I don't think I'd get a video made. And the other thing is I'd forget what I thought out. There we go. I guess too, if you want to see how projects evolve, I'm probably the girl for you. If you want to just get straight to how to do, as in a tutorial, I'm not the girl for you. So it pays to keep all your bits. This is the benefits of not cleaning up your desk too. I've lost track of time. We've been yabbering away. Oh, plenty of time. So I'm going to need to go looking for a critter. Something that can work in that complements the piece. I did glance across at my dragonflies, but none of them suit the colours. Could stitch a new dragonfly for it, but I don't know. No rush, no decision. Don't care at this stage. I think too, because the piece has this top where it's the sky, nestling in something is a bit of a challenge on this artwork. So whether that's what's blocking my thoughts. Something will come along. Always does. Oh, I'd love to stitch this onto the panel, but I better not. I'll be cursing it for 3 months and you'll be like, well, your instinct was not to do that. And you went and did it. As solid as these little bits are, you don't want to ruin them with the needle and thread dragging through all those little rough edges. So I wonder if I start with a bit of weaving. See that little spot there? That there? That through there? I could do some weaving. That's pretty good. So in the center of this, I could find a button too. At the moment, just going to stitch it so that I don't lose them. Then I can put them in the project box that'll go with this piece, which is now empty because I got rid of all of those summer tones. Okay, here we go. So they're good for where there's a big flower. There. I think we could do with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That breaks all the rules of uneven petals, doesn't it? Let's do one that's got 5, and we'll make the base a bit smaller. Try and make it feel like it's a smaller flower, and then it could nestle into, say that big guy went there. Let's try and do a tiny guy. Oops. So these projects have been real collages of all sorts of things, which is right up my alley. Favourite style of stitching, where I bring in lots of elements to build up the image. Yeah, this is a little cutie, this one. Just a little guy. Wonder if I can find some fabric that is minty to work in some fabric bits and pieces into these flowers. Even the leaves, I can't rule out fabric for them as well. I'm pretty confident I can find a suitable green. Mint might be a challenge. That can be my homework, to go and find some more bits and pieces that can go towards this project. Gosh, to think when we finish this, we'll be at Christmas. Oh, goodness sakes. Oh, incredible, isn't it? Just shortening up these little guys so he's not as big. Maybe I should add some of this style of piece to my primitive rabbit. No, I'm getting too tizzy. I want to keep him simple. This is where I really play. Primitive rabbit was all about keeping it more of a simple stitching, like even the flowers are a little bit more organic and free form than an actual focus on a stitch. There we go. We've now got ourselves an itty bitty little flower. Stitch that little bit down. It's so thick in the centre there. It actually looks like it's been crocheted that way, to be honest, now that I've put all those little stitches in there. It's made a great little piece, considering that was scraps from another piece. That's good. knot that off. So we've got a smaller one. Beautiful. Oh, love it. How many have we got left? I think we need a couple that'll appear up there as well. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I can go and get more, but if I can just use what I've got without cutting into another. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, look, let's do three little ones, little half ones. And things like that could be stitched completely differently so that it's not a line of them. Or he comes up into there and I stitch something differently into there, like to break it up a little bit. So this one is going to be a little half one. So I think my little circle could have a bit of a flat. Maybe I do the centre one first. Does that make sense? Maybe shorten it up a bit. I did not think I'd be making elements in this video for my piece for a rainy day. See, it makes you think then about this. Maybe I can create a little textured thing here and then stitch in the flowers. Oh, another day. The ideas are starting to come along now. That means trouble, doesn't it? It means like that girl needs to slow the head down a little and just focus on stitching what I'm doing. I think I just said this, that's the great thing for me to have this piece roll over 3 months, because I can just focus on something instead of jumping all over the place. Like one video will be just working that flower. And I find too then in, 3 months' time, 2 months' time, I might have a brand new idea for something, where today it would have probably a similar finish. So that's the 3 of them stitched. Onto that little morsel of calico to stabilise it. And then that can be trimmed up to create a flat bottom and be stitched when I'm ready into there. You see how I need to work the background first? Let's do one more. Of course I don't have enough thread to finish the task. Sneaky knot. So my needle stays with me and I don't spend time threading. Okay, so we need another little crescent. This little guy. So we did the middle one first. And stitch him down, and that's it. If we put our minds to it, there's probably all sorts of little 3-dimensional elements we could create out of scraps to embellish. But I think I need to think about the background I need to put together, what have I done? I need to put together some threads. Oh my goodness, see how it catches so easy? That's why these little bits cannot be on this. I need to pop them somewhere safe, and then right at the very end they get added. Otherwise they will just disintegrate. It is too delicate. And if anything, it's given me a chance to slow the mind down a little bit and have a think about the piece. And already my bird appears to be a repeat. Whether I can find another bird, I don't know yet. Whether we move to butterflies, who knows? There we go. So winter here for me at Burham Heads. If I was in Brisbane, the fireplaces would be cranked. My husband's allergies would be firing, and the air would just be full of smog and smoke. And I have seen a few news reports to say that Brisbane has had a lot of fog. That's not due to the smoke, it's due to the climate. It's cold. But we haven't. We've had beautiful sunny days, but I tell you, as soon as that sun drops behind the tree line, it does plummet, but not like what Brisbane would have done. We are coastal, so it's a very mild winter. Like, put it this way, I'm still walking around barefoot, and I have a feeling that my winter might be still barefoot. Haven't had to go and grab the slippers yet. The skies are as clear as clear. There's not a cloud in the sky, so winter's definitely here. But so far, very mild. We're still sitting outside at 5 o'clock having an early dinner if we've put the barbecue on. So that would not be happening at my place in Brisbane. We were sort of below 2 mountain ridges too, so it was what's the term, frog hollow? Sort of felt like that in winter. The mist would settle in and be there till, 7 o'clock. Trapped behind 2 ranges that sort of went through Brisbane. There we go. Great. I love it. That's the start of something. Okay, I need a little container that becomes this project, and they are put away somewhere safe. I need to go and find some fabrics that complement this. If I can't find a fabric, I will try and find a thread and maybe stitch into all of that. And the fabric, which I can find, the creams and the whites, become these petals here. Decisions. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. I feel like I've got my project prepped and ready. I've got some little elements for the future, which has sort of helped me focus my mind on potential opportunities. As for threads, he is a definite, and I'm thinking of doing some weaving, even some I think the next video, so next Friday, will be leaves. Let's get that background all worked in, and then I can then jump onto some flowers. I think that's the trick. I need to clarify which threads I'm using, if there's some fabric, or we save the fabric for the flowers and just get some background. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. Anyway, I need a week to think about it. I'll say goodbye, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.